Hi, this is Dee Wallace, and you're listening to the Then Is Now podcast.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hi, this is Rigor, host of Then Is Now podcast and The East Meets the West. I just wanted to say thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers. We appreciate your support as we grow the audience for our shows. You could find our links to our Patreon page as well as our TeePublic page at havenpodcasts.com. With Patreon, you'll get a lot of exclusive stuff, including our monthly pop culture newsletter, cool gifts, discounts for TeePublic, and our special exclusive show, Then Is Now Filmmakers Series, in which we interview directors, producers, writers, composers, special effects guys, basically anybody who works behind the scenes in film and television, and get their insights into the process of creating films and TV shows. Also at our TeePublic page, you'll find cool merch that you can get or even give to others as gifts. You can find those links at our website, or you can go directly to teepublic.com/stores/havenpodcasts and patreon.com/thenisnowpodcast. Enjoy!
What kind of a sick school is this?
Uh-oh, don't go!
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
You got spunk. I hate spunk.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Oh, righty then.
How you doing? Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Say hello to my little friend.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
What are you people? On dope?
Stop whining!
I got a crap on deck that can choke a donkey.
Who is your daddy?
I'm sorry, but all questions must be submitted in writing.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Can I do that?
I'll be back.
A dynamite! Show me the money!
Don't! Up your nose with your rubber hose.
A what?
I'm sailing! I'm sailing!
Groovy.
You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around and pull it down.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
Here's looking at you, kid.
We got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
Come to the coast. We get together. Have a few laughs.
Hear that, Elizabeth? I'm coming to join you, honey.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
I love it when a plan comes together.
What we do is if we need that extra push over the cliff, you know what we do?
Put it up to
11, exactly. One louder.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
We're on a mission from God.
Hello and welcome to another fun-filled episode of Then Is Now podcast. I am your host Rigor, and once again I'm flying solo as Chris's schedule has, it's conflicted with our guest schedule today, so it'll just be me. Now, the world of the paranormal is something that I've been dying to get into on this show, and it has been a huge part of our pop culture for over 100 years or more. Such things as conspiracies, UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, and other facets of the paranormal have touched our collective imaginations, and interest in these topics is at an all-time high. Today, we have an awesome guest who is a psychic medium, and she's going to tell us about her fascinating life and encounters. So sit back and join me on Then Is Now's first journey into the world of the paranormal. Class is in session.
I have a bad feeling about this.
How could I possibly be expected to handle school on a day like this?
Food fight!
Hey, you in my class? I am today.
I think you should consider transferring to shop class. Woo-woo! Now, very few students are severely injured in shop class.
Bueller.
When you were in school,
Bueller.
did you ever cut class?
Bueller. Yeah, I guess I did. Sure, most kids cut classes.
Good, sign this. He's sick.
I get so lonely when I hear that third attendance bell ring and all my kids are not here.
7 years of college down the drain.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
You lack discipline. As long as I'm here, there will be no grades or gold stars or demerits. We're gonna have recess all the time.
Woo!
Go, play, and have fun now!
Okay, folks, our guest today is an internationally renowned Irish-born professional psychic medium. She's also a master tarot reader, spirit medium, angel and spirit guide communicator, empath, paranormal investigator, coach, and a radio and TV personality who's been doing readings for over 30 years. She was featured on an episode of Paranormal Lockdown on Destination America with Nick Goff and Katrina Weidman as they investigated the Kreischer Mansion in Staten Island, New York. She was also featured on Season 1, the first 3 episodes, of Bill Brock's series Rogue Mysteries, which is on Amazon Prime, and recently filmed a series of haunted hospitals for the Travel Channel. Following a near-death experience in 2001, she decided to dedicate herself to bringing healing to many through her readings. She uses her lifetime experience in the tarot, a combination of traditional and angel oracle cards, along with guidance from the angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters overseen by her spirit guide, the Archangel Michael, to guide her clients in solving any present difficulties in their lives, whether it be spiritual, relationship, work, or dealing with the loss of a loved one in your life. She listens and looks in depth at any blocks in your life and helps you find ways to overcome them so you can live a full, abundant, and spiritually happy life. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the show Colleen Costello, the Celtic medium. Welcome to the show, Colleen.
Thank you very much, Roger.
Awesome. Glad to have you. So let's start at the beginning here. When did you first discover that you had these abilities? How old were you?
I've always had gifts, Roger. Ever since I was a child, I've always been very intuitive and sensitive. And I just always knew that been sensitive to people around me, things around me. And I just always had those gifts.
Excellent, excellent. I kind of figured that. I think a lot of psychic mediums just start off, they just know from the get-go, you know?
Yes, yes.
I'm sure a good portion of our audience only has knowledge of psychics from movies they've watched, like Poltergeist, but can you tell us what your abilities are really like?
Well, when I was younger, because I had my abilities, I was always interested in other realms, and I began reading tarot cards, got interested in them, and I began reading tarot cards when I was a teenager. I taught myself how to read, so I started reading when I was about 16 or 17. And that became very easy to me. Also, I'm a medium, so I connect with those who have crossed over and those on the other side. That also came to me when I was a teenager also. So I'm both being a psychic and a medium, which are two different things. I don't know if you're aware, but
yes.
Yeah, so the psychic part of me, I do tarot readings, and I'm an empath, and I'm connected. I can use my gifts that way, but then a medium, I connect with those who have crossed over. So I use my gifts in those different ways, and I can use them in separately or together, depending on how the need is, how people need that. But those are how I use my gifts. So depending on you're talking about compared to things on TV, I mean, you know, a lot of TV show us as being charlatans and, you know, a lot of crazy stuff. But we really do have gifts, and we use them to help people as much as we possibly can.
Excellent, excellent. And one of the things I mentioned in the intro I got off your Facebook page is that you're an astrologist. Is that the same as an astrologer, or is there a difference?
I'm actually not an astrologer at all.
Okay.
I don't know where you saw that on my Facebook page. I think, you know what it is? It's Facebook just puts you in a category, these categories you have to pick.
Oh, okay.
And so when you're trying to pick a category for Facebook, there's no category for psychic and medium, so it just kind of puts you in a category. So I think that was just an automatic thing that stuck me in.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually not an astrologist at all, or an astrologer. I never have been.
Okay, all right, my bad. But you've made a successful career at being a psychic medium, and you said you started in your teens doing tarot cards. And can you tell us your journey from there? Did it lead into radio broadcasting, or was there stuff that you did in between?
I've always been reading. I started reading initially for friends and family, and being an Irish Catholic, I always kept it hidden. I was afraid to use my gifts because I thought that it was the wrong thing to do, so I kept it hidden. But I would read secretly for friends and family. and mostly friends, not really family much, because I didn't think it was the right thing to do. When I moved to America, after I got married, I read more people, but I had a regular job, as you want to call it. I worked as a medical office manager in a hospital, and I did that for many years until I had my first son, and that I had him, and that's when I started working from home, doing medical transcription from home, and that's when I started doing more reading. And I actually, just before I had him, when I bought my home in New Hampshire, I had a near-death experience. And I think that really changed everything for me, because at that point when I had my near-death experience, I almost died. Well, I did die, technically.
Wow.
And I came in contact with Archangel Michael at the time during that. And during that experience, Archangel Michael told me that I needed to use my gifts to help other people, and that I had to stop hiding my gifts, and I needed to use it to help other people and start using them. So when I came out of that, I really didn't know what to think about it. I had never really had any connection with the angels, even though I was Irish Catholic and I always went to church and all that, but I never had an affiliation with angels or collected angels or did anything in particular with angels. So I became obsessed with angels, and I started a Facebook page called The Angelic Spirit. And I just really at the time wanted to spread the message of angels, and angels were real. I really believed 100% after having my experience that I was saved for a reason, and I had to let people know that angels were real. We all had our angels with us, and they would protect us and help us and guide us. And I didn't do it just to do readings or anything. But when I started working from home, it's weird. I started getting all these messages and signs everywhere I went, seeing triple digit numbers. I don't know if people are aware, but triple digit numbers are associated with angels.
Yes.
And I would see different things like that. So I was constantly getting guided. And then somebody had heard that I did readings and asked me, would I be interested in reading? And so I read a couple of different people, and it was just casual. But then once I did some readings, other people asked me to read. So as I was working from home, it was easier for me to do some readings on the side. So I started doing that. And then locally, there was a psychic fair in town, and they were looking for readers. So I don't know, but I just said, you know what, I'll just see if they need somebody. So I called, and I went and I did some readings there, and they really liked me, and they asked me would I come back and do more. And I started doing that. So I started doing some psychic fairs. And after that, it just took off. So what happened was I started reading people, and the word got out, and people started recommending me. They liked me. From that, people wanted me to do parties and events, and it just took off from there. And before I knew it, then I did that for a couple of years, and I decided to make it my business. And I ended up giving up my job, and because people started asking me to do events. So I ended up driving everywhere in New England. I ended up driving everywhere from New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine. I was so busy. I couldn't keep up with it. So it was really blessed to end up doing a lot of events and, reading. I was gone all weekend. I was gone nights. I was gone all the time. Every spare moment I could get, I was reading. So that's what happened, really. And that's how I ended up eventually doing radio shows and different things like that. It just kind of took off from there.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you had this near-death experience, and the Archangel Michael basically said, we gave you these gifts, please go out and use them and help people, and you did exactly that. So when you got into radio, what were some of the shows that you were on, and, how did that kind of work for you?
Well, the first show I did was A1R Psychic Radio. I got a phone call from them one day, and they called me. God, it's many, many years ago now. They called me, and I thought it was a scam. And they're like, we want you to do a radio show. And I was like, yeah, who is this? And is my car warranty? No. So, right. Yeah. And so they had seen my website, and they liked my website because I didn't have any money at the time. I'm a mom at home, with, I had 2 kids at the time at home that were really young. And,
yeah,
I was working my butt off. Everything I did was, I made a free website, basically online. But I think I did a pretty good job of it. And obviously they'd seen it and they liked it too. So they thought, we saw your website. We've heard about you. We'd like to know, would you like to do a radio show? It's only half an hour, 30-minute radio show. You basically set it up in your own house. You can do it, on the computer.
Right.
We'll give you a slot, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, I didn't think it was real, but then it turned out it was. And the girl was super, super nice. I'm trying to think of her name now. Oh my God, she was awesome. Very nice. And so she interviewed me. We talked, we chatted. So I decided to take a slot and do it on a Monday night. And we called it the Angelic Spirit Live. And that was what it was, with the Angelic Spirit. I named it after my Facebook page. And I started doing it every Monday night, and I did it, I think, for almost a year, or maybe over a year. Yeah, I think I did it for quite a while, and I loved it because I would, they would send callers to me. So I would do my show, and they would send callers in to me for readings, and I would do live readings online or on the show.
Yeah.
And so it was just like I said, I did it for I think I did it over a year. I think so. I can't remember. Yeah, that was what I did. That show. And then after that, I did another show then up in Manchester on The Voice on the Voice that was up in Manchester, New Hampshire. I did another show then after that, another radio show, which was a during the day show. That I did that one as well. And that was a really successful show also. I used to do that as well during the week. And I used to bring my kids to that, actually. They used to sit in the green room. They thought it was awesome.
They
would watch me do my show. Yeah, so I do that one. And that was fun. I did that. And then after that, I got Paranormal Lockdown with Nick Roth. Then I got a TV show. So that's when that changed. So I went from radio to TV. Nice. So that's when I got Paranormal Lockdown on Destination America. And I got asked to be the psychic medium on on Nick Roth's new TV show, Paranormal Lockdown. And he wanted me to do one of his the episodes on his new show. And so that's when I dropped the radio and did the TV.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And how was that experience? Were you working? I assume you were working with a team of investigators, correct?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you know who Nick Roth is.
Yes.
But yeah, he did Paranormal Lockdown. Well, so Paranormal Lockdown was his new show after Ghost Adventures. And so they had it, I think at the beginning, I think it was 8 episodes, and I was going to be on the final episode. It was the Kreischer Mansion in Staten Island in New York.
Okay.
And so I was called in to do a seance for that episode at the mansion with him and Katrina Weidman. And so I traveled to New York to do that. So I investigated the mansion with them. And then I had to we set up the seance, and I did the seance, which we can see on the show. You'll see that on that episode. That was the main part. My main role was conducting the seance at the mansion. And so, it was fantastic. It was an amazing experience. I really enjoyed it. I have to say, I really enjoyed it. And I had done investigating before that. That wasn't the first time I'd ever done paranormal investigating. I had been doing it for quite a while, actually, myself, with other teams and other people before that. But that was the first time I'd done it on TV.
That's excellent. And so you mentioned, obviously, Ghost Adventures. And what's your opinion of shows like that and Ghost Hunters and these paranormal investigation shows? Are they, I mean, to me, they seem very legitimate. What is your opinion of these kind of shows?
Well, I mean, they are legitimate. I mean, obviously, there's music and everything added in to make it seem more scary and, all of that. It's all, I mean, what you see on TV, that's minimized down to a 40 minutes or whatever. How long is the show normally? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's usually like 44 minutes. Yeah.
I can't remember, like or if it's a 30-minute show or something. I mean, it takes hours and hours and hours and hours, and sometimes a couple of days of footage to get that amount. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
yep.
I think that people need to realize that, it's not, I think when people go on investigations, they have to understand it takes a lot of patience to get, that amount of, footage and stuff. I mean, I think it's like anything, it's patience. I mean, it's like anything on TV, it takes patience and stuff, and things don't, happen instantly, like anything it's like anything. It's like talking to spirits. Or when I do my mediumship, you sometimes you'll get a spirit that will talk nonstop, and then another time I'll do a reading and I might get crickets. It's like things don't happen on cue. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So yeah. So, it all depends. It's the look of the draw. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Yeah, but I mean, I love investigating, and I think these shows are awesome. I used to watch these shows before I ever went on investigations myself. I always loved them. So
yeah,
I always enjoy them, and I think going investigations is amazing, and I think everyone should go on one.
Oh, absolutely.
To experience it.
Absolutely. I've done it. I've done a couple of investigations, and when I was at the Saugus, Mass, I worked at the TV station there, and we did an investigation of the town hall. And there was a psychic lady that was with us, and she ended up doing some automatic writing, which was interesting. It's like all of a sudden her hand was going, and she couldn't control it.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
And like you said, it's painstaking because we had quite a couple of hours of footage, and I had to go through the audio, and I did find it sounded like there was a name. I'm trying to remember what it was now because this was a long time ago as well. But somebody said a name, but it was backwards in the audio and in the background. Yeah. And we also picked up, and now this was, mind you, this was middle of the week during the school year, and we picked up audio of children playing in the distance, and there were no children playing because they were all in school. So that was interesting.
Well, yeah, you have to go through a lot of footage, like I said, either visual footage or audio footage to hear things, and photographs, obviously.
Yes. Yep.
To see what you've captured. Because, there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of things people miss, too. Sometimes it takes somebody else to go through stuff to see it.
Right.
To see what you've missed. Like, you might show a photograph to somebody, and then you might not see something in it, and then somebody else might say, oh my God, what is that behind you? Or do you see something in the window? Or, you know what I mean? So things like that. Or you might play something to somebody, and they might hear something that you might have missed or might not hear, so... Yeah, it all depends. You know what I mean? So that's why it always is. That's why I think on investigations, there's so many people involved. Usually, it's better to have, you can't just have one person. You need to have a group of people. And exactly. I think that's important. Yeah.
And it was funny. One time I was at a convention and I talked to Steve Gonzalez, who was in Ghost Hunters. And he was telling me that like sometimes they'll take up to 2 to 3 weeks at a location. And the biggest danger is that they're operating in pitch blackness. And he says, you've got the camera crew that's filming the ghost hunters, and he would literally hold on to the shirt of one of the camera guys and follow behind him because he didn't want to trip and fall, because in the pitch black, you can't see anything,
Yeah, because they have the night vision cameras.
Yes.
The other people can't see. They're in complete darkness.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of that's the way it is, yeah. But yeah, like I said, it is exciting. It's definitely it's something that gets the adrenaline going.
Can you tell us about some of the houses or haunted places that you've investigated? Or are any of them, do any jump out at you as maybe some of the scariest encounters you've had?
Oh my God, yeah. This I've been to several different places. I'm living in a haunted house, so there you go. That's one. I've been to. Let me see. Well, I did a show with. That's on Amazon, Rogue Mysteries with Bill Brock.
Right.
I did that as well. I did America's Stonehenge. I also did the Betty and Barney abduction. Went to that site of the abduction where Betty and Barney were abducted. That was very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a really crazy to the site where they were abducted. Now that was something that I had never experienced before, and I have to say that was, talking about like doing investigations of haunted places. And
right.
That's not a haunted place, but that was a very unusual experience to actually go where they were abducted from. And I actually experienced, I used dowsing rods when I went there.
Okay. And
I ended up communicating with Betty when I was there during that whole investigation. And, wow. She showed me where the ship landed and everything. It was crazy. And we ended up getting some amazing, audio, high-pitched sound on audio, buzzing sounds, some amazing things we picked up while we were there at the time.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was really very unusual and not what I expected at all, because they didn't tell me anything before I went there at all. I got no information. And literally, I was just driven there. So I had no information. I never knew anything about it.
Oh, wow.
And so when I arrived, it was literally just in the middle of nowhere. So I had no information.
Did you get any impressions of what had happened to them that day?
Yeah, exactly. I did actually. Yeah. I mean, one of the things I got was that Barney had pulled a gun because he was terrified when he got out of the car, and that I got an impression that the gun was literally taken from his hand by some like magnetic force.
Wow.
That was one of the things that I picked up. Yeah, at the bottom of the hill. So that was one of many things that I picked up. I also picked up that they had a dog that was barking in the back of their car, and that the dog was barking, and then all of a sudden that the dog just stopped barking, like it was like put to muted, like put to sleep.
Huh.
Yeah. So that was another thing I picked up, because I could see the dog barking, and then all of a sudden the dog just like silenced, like something that was made it quiet and just like lay down,
right,
be quiet. Yeah. So that was the other thing that I picked up. But there was so many things I picked up, but it was something that I never expected to experience. So that was definitely, I have to say, one of the most interesting things that places I had been.
That's crazy. So you walked in there over to the site, not knowing what the site was.
No, they told me they were bringing me there.
They
told me they were bringing me there, but I had never been there before, and I didn't know. Like we were just driving. I had never been there before. I didn't know anything about it, so they just brought me to the bottom of this hill. Bill Brock and the team, and it was just basically the cameraman and all of that. And I just, when I got there, I did not know. Like they didn't tell me where exactly. Like it was just all trees and hills. They said they would let me figure out. Like they just said, you do what you think. You go in what direction you feel you need to go in, and where you think you should go. So basically, I went in what direction I felt I should go in. So basically, they didn't tell me where the ship had landed or which direction I should go in. I just had to basically, go on my own direction and what I felt, which direction I needed to go in. And that's what I did. And so I went basically up the hill. I mean, if you can see it on the episode, it's very interesting. But I went up the hill, and then I stopped, and then that's where I felt that Betty had been. And then I went up, and then Bill just asked me, he said, where do you think the ship was? So I was asking Betty, I started communicating with Betty. I was using the dowsing rods to talk to her. And then she kept making me turn around, and she made me turn around and come back down the hill. And then she made me turn around, and she kept making me turn around. And then finally she made me turn in the other direction, and she made me face this hill. Huh. And I said, this is the hill. I said, it's right here, but it's up on top, right up there. And Bill was shocked, because he goes, that's it. That's exactly where it was. So
wow,
that's what she showed me. Yeah, she showed me where it was.
That's incredible. And for those listening at home who don't know, the Betty and Barney were a couple that were driving home one night. I think this was in New Hampshire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they witnessed a UFO. They pulled over and looked at it, and then they ended up losing like 2 or 3 hours of time. And I think they were even like somehow further down the road, right? They were a few miles away from where they had stopped. Is that correct?
Yeah, they were on their way home. I mean, this was the 1950s, I believe,
50s,
wasn't it? Yeah. And they were, I think the big thing was, they were driving home, and they were almost home, and then they saw something in the sky following them. And Betty told Barney to start following it. So they started following it, and then it led them to this area. And Betty wasn't scared at all. And so she eventually, it was hovering above their car, and they could see it. And Betty got out of the car, and Barney didn't want her to get out. I think he was scared. She wasn't scared at all. They got out, and got out of the car. But yeah, they ended up being abducted. Apparently she put up a fight. They still have her dress, actually, from the actual abduction.
Huh.
With, I think, a rip in it. Yeah, because she put up a fight. But they both got abducted. They've gone under hypnosis and everything. They went under hypnosis.
Right.
It's all on YouTube. It's all online. Yeah, but they went under hypnosis. And he really was affected by it. But she talked about it nonstop, I think, right till when she passed away. She wasn't scared at all by it. She wanted to talk about it, wanted to tell people about the whole story, but it really affected him. He didn't want to talk about it after that.
Right. And that was
one of the
Oh, go ahead.
I think we were both going to say the same thing. One of the first abductions ever recorded.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, one of the first abductions ever recorded, yeah.
And it's interesting. I try to attend. I haven't for the last couple of years because of COVID, but Exeter, New Hampshire has a UFO festival every September because there was an incident there as well. And not to go too far on a tangent, but I listened to, it might have been Dr. Stanton Friedman, talk about how under hypnotic regression, first of all, that both their stories were identical and they were separately regressed. And Betty was able to draw a crude map of what the aliens showed her, because when she asked them where they were from, they showed her a star chart. And it was a basic, simple drawing of these dots, and nobody really knew where it was, except there was a lady who took that map, and she basically, over the course of the next 10 years, after the map had been released to the public, she had like all these strings from floor to ceiling in her, I guess it was her living room, and she took foam balls or styrofoam balls, and those were all the stars in the sky in that area that Betty was told, and she narrowed it down, this lady, over the course of 10 years, that it was this whole star system of like Zeta Reticuli, which I think Betty had mentioned, and it was basically a trade route. At least that's what the alien allegedly told Betty, was that this was a trade route, and I guess somehow Earth, they were going to try and incorporate Earth into that, but I don't know what the outcome of that. But it was really interesting to find out that they now know what the stars exactly were that she was talking about.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. Yeah, exactly. Everything was bang on.
That's incredible.
It was information that there's no way she could have known about.
Right.
Exactly.
So
especially not in those times.
Oh, yeah. And what other encounters have you had?
I'm trying to think. There was a restaurant that I investigated, and I'm trying to think the name of it. Oh my God, it's been sold since. That was up in New Hampshire, that I investigated also with. Oh my gosh, I did it with a group at the time. What were we called? I mean, I did it with I don't know if you know Jerry Seavey. He's a Candyman, and Rich Dan Boise, and who else it was? It was a group that we were in. We investigated it. Gosh, I wish I could think of the name of the restaurant. They sold it since. It was a restaurant way up in New Hampshire towards the Vermont border.
Okay.
And we investigated that. And that was crazy. And it was very, very haunted. And in the basement of that, I remember we experienced, it was like a portal in the basement. I got pushed over.
Oh, wow.
There was a guy there that called himself the Doctor, I remember. In it. Gosh, wish I could think of the name. But yeah, that was one of the places. I can't think of the name of the place. It got sold. It used to do really amazing cinnamon rolls. That's what I remember about the place. But yeah, I went up there just to do the lady had invited me up there just to do a party for her employees. And I went up to do the party. And when I was trying to do the party, I remember when I got there, I was charging my phone, and every time I was trying to charge my phone, the battery kept draining the whole time.
Oh, wow.
So as I was sitting there, when I was sitting there doing my readings, I was watching my phone go from like 100% down to 5%.
Oh, geez.
And then it would try and go up 10% and it would go back down to 5%. And I was saying, something's not right here. And then the energy was completely off. And then I kept getting all these, I kept getting, I think I was hearing a baby crying, and I heard this other child, someone in the other rooms. And so I was saying to her, I said, this place is so haunted. And she was like, yeah. She said that the employees upstairs used to hear all the chairs moving at nighttime. A couple of employees, I think, stayed in the rooms upstairs, were renting or staying up there. There was lived upstairs.
Wow.
And all the furniture would move around at nighttime. Plates would fly at the cooks during the day. I think they said that the cooks would, in the kitchen, like saucepans and plates and everything would fly at them.
Wow.
Yeah, but we got a lot of evidence off that. And of course, I've been to the S.K. Pierce Mansion, S.K. Pierce Haunted Victorian Mansion in Gardner, Mass. I'm sure you've heard about that place. I've been there a couple of times, investigated there also.
Wow.
And that place I've had experience there also in the basement of that house. And of course, the house I'm living in now, which I just bought a year ago. Actually nearly let me see. It's coming up, it'll be 2 years at the end of this year. So it's the Allenson Tucker Mansion in Derry. It was built in 206 years ago in 1816.
Wow.
Yeah, my first year here was a nightmare.
Oh, jeez.
That's an understatement. I ended up having to lock off my bedroom upstairs, locking off the bedroom, and couldn't sleep there. I ended up sleeping on the couch for the first 8 months.
Huh.
Because the activity in the house here was so bad. When we first moved in, literally the kitchen downstairs, and the scary thing is I thought that being a psychic medium and being used to all of the stuff and doing paranormal investigations, I was never scared of anything. But to live in being in your own house is a completely different thing altogether.
Right.
Because being woken up, it was always between like 3:30 and 4:30 in the morning. You'd hear like pots and pans and things like noise and clattering and banging in your kitchen downstairs. It was like, oh my God, what the heck is going on? You know? And then hearing people talking, walking. At one point, my husband said down the stairs, he said, I can't take any more. And he went down, he went, hello. And this girl said, hello, back to him up the stairs.
Oh, jeez. Oh my God.
Yeah. I almost got pushed out of my bed one night. I felt somebody pushing on my back and I thought it was my husband. And I said to him some swear words, obviously, because I thought he was trying to push me out of the bed. And I was like, what the heck? What are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't him at all.
Oh my God.
So when I put my hand back, there was nobody there, but I was being shoved out of my bed.
That's incredible.
Knocking on the door in the middle of the night. Like we have a big, huge door on the house, an old, big, huge old door with a big brass knocker. So I was afraid to sleep in the bedroom. So I was sleeping on the couch one night and I was sitting downstairs in my living room and all of a sudden banging on the knocker, bang, 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 middle of the night. I was terrified, absolutely terrified. So the bedroom upstairs, eventually I ended up, I wouldn't even go into it. I was so scared because I wouldn't go into it even to get clothes. I ended up moving all my clothes out of there and I ended up locking off the room. But the worst part is I could just I think was all the spirits were constantly trying to connect with me, you know, and that was the hard part because this house has been through so many changes over the years, obviously over 200 years.
Right.
The history of it. And the whole point I bought the house was because it was an antique home. Then I thought I could do my business here. And also I wanted to research the history and, you know, preserve it because it's been restored. But yeah, it turned out to be more than I could handle. But we've eventually, we did get a priest in a couple of months ago to bless the house. And it has settled down quite a bit now, which is good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but we got a local priest and he spent about 4 hours here. And he went through every single room in the house, every closet, inside and out, and went outside to the land also. Because we also have a headstone. We discovered a headstone in our yard that someone had taken from a cemetery.
Oh, geez.
And put in our yard. Yeah. So eventually somebody who had lived here had taken, it was from the 1800s. So it was in our yard also. So, and that was hidden. So we found that also.
Now, did you end up moving that back to where it belonged?
No, we didn't because we don't know where it came from.
Oh, okay.
So we don't know where it came from.
And
it's still, it's still there. Yeah,
okay.
It's still there.
And have you done research into the house? Do you happen to know maybe who the entities are?
I'm currently doing research. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of research. I've been down to the library, the local library, because this is one of the oldest houses in Derry. It was built by Nehemiah Choate, and like I said, Alison Tucker it's one of the oldest homes here. I've been to the library. I've talked to the librarian. I'm doing research right now, and I can get as much information as I can about the home. It's changed hands. I mean, it was mainly that Alison Tucker built it or had it built by Nehemiah Choate. And then at one point, I did realize at one point where there was probably a lot of negative energy. And it was information that was hidden. And I only found out about it per chance from my neighbor, was that it was a nursing home for about 40 years.
Wow.
And not so good nursing home.
Oh, wow.
So, it was licensed for 8 people and they had over 40 in here. And that information is hidden from everywhere. You cannot find it anywhere. And eventually the librarian found some information on it when she really dug deep. She found one piece of information on it. So I'm really doing a lot of research and trying to find as much as I possibly can on the home right now. But a lot of people who were associated with the house have passed on and aren't around anymore. So it's trying to get as much information as I can to, I'd like to eventually write a book about it or do a documentary or something on the home.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So now, if you find out the names of the possible entities that are in the house, is that something you can use to say someone's name was, for example, let's just say Alan. Say, Alan, please stop doing these things. Please, leave us alone. Is that how you would approach it if you had that information?
Well, I already did do some sessions here, like in the beginning, and I did get people on recordings. I got a lot of stuff on recording.
Wow.
With people talking to me and telling me names and different things like that. So I have got a lot of stuff on recordings, but I stopped them because I got too scared. Because what happened was the activity just ramped up and there was too much physical activity happening.
Right.
So that was too scary for me. I mean, literally I was terrified.
So
because I have all the equipment obviously and all the stuff like that. So I did do a lot of, in the beginning, I was doing EVP sessions. I was doing all that stuff, like I normally do. And I was like, hi, is anybody here? Can you tell me your name? Blah, blah, blah. And I was getting like people saying, my name is this, my name is that. And they were people that originally had lived in the home, and it was clear as day.
Wow.
And it was so unbelievable, like how clearly people were talking. And saying, did you work here? And they were like, yes, I worked here. Yes, I'm from here. This from there, blah, blah, blah. it was amazing, like the clear responses I was getting. But I think then there was also a lot of, I don't know, it's a lot of negative stuff then ramped up then. You know what I mean? I think that there was a lot of positive energy here from spirits that had crossed over, but then there's also a lot of negative stuff because I communicated with one woman who kept telling me that some bad stuff happened here. And I had to, So there was, I think there was a mixture and it was just a lot to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. And I think you posted some of these encounters on Facebook like a year or two ago, correct?
Yeah, about a year ago. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And did you do one with a spirit box, a session?
I did one with, I was just using I using the iPhone or maybe I was using, I do have a spirit. Yeah, I do have I do. Yeah, I was using the spirit box. Yeah, that's right. I was actually, I did get one. Yeah, I had a spirit box. Yeah, I was using that one. That's right. I recorded it on my iPhone. I think I was doing a Facebook Live with the spirit box. That's right.
Right. Yeah, that was incredible.
And that was the one. Yeah, that was insane. Yeah. Yeah. They kept saying my husband's name over and over again.
Yeah.
Saying Collen. The girl kept saying Collen. And then it was like, I got some amazing names. This house is also connected to Star Faithful, who died in the 1920s. Her great grandfather was Alison Tucker, and he's the one who built the house here. And if you look up that information, you'll see that she was a socialite, that she was murdered and her body was found in New York. So I think that has a lot to do with the house too.
Huh.
So there's a lot of mystery about the house. There's a lot of things that are hidden. There's a lot of things that, it's fascinating when you go to dig that you see that there's a lot that has been covered up. I think there's a lot of stuff that's on the surface when there's a lot that there isn't to be found, which I really find interesting, is because, you think that a historic house like this would have a lot of information on file, but actually there's a lot of stuff that's been hidden that I'm finding as I'm digging, that you say, wow, you think somebody owned this house like that, like, especially like it was a nursing home for 40 years. Where did all that information go? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
How come there's no record of it? Yeah.
You could do a show like just about the house on the History Channel, like the ones they do where people are just spending years investigating it, going through the history.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know I could. Yeah. And I know that and I know what people have wanted to come in and investigate the home, but I don't want to do that right now because I don't want to put my family at risk.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, especially not with my kids. And when it's just things have just settled down now too, because it was just, like I said, the activity and stuff has settled down now, and now it's quiet, and I feel like safe here because I literally was scared here. I couldn't, I didn't sleep at night. And I'm probably going to start doing readings here now soon again. I mean, I'm going to get back doing readings again, but I did take a break because I was sick too as well. I wasn't feeling well, but yeah, I took a break from reading for a while, but I'm going to be back doing reading again. And I have some events coming up now again this year. But with COVID and everything, I mean, of course, everything got stopped, all the main events and the Parafest and all that stuff, which I normally do. But I just actually, the only thing I did this year, I did do an episode for Haunted Hospitals, which is going to be out in the Travel Channel this year. I think it's the end of this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did do that. Yeah. Yeah, I went to Detroit, actually. I think it was Detroit. Yeah, I went to Michigan. I flew to Michigan. I did that only a couple of months ago. So that was fun.
Nice.
Yeah, that was about actually one of my earlier experiences, which was one of my first jobs I had in Ireland, working in a hospital in Ireland, which was a former TB hospital.
Huh.
So that was actually one of my earlier experiences where I was setting up a new department in a hospital in Ireland, and it had been a TB hospital, and they stuck me in one of the old wards of the hospital to set up a new office.
Huh.
And I experienced a crazy haunting there.
Oh, wow.
So, of former patients. And so that is going to be on the Travel Channel. I believe, I think it's going to be in the Canadian Travel Channel first, they told me, and then it's going to be on the US Travel Channel.
Oh, okay.
That's excellent. That was a fun thing to go and do. It was nice to get out and go and do another show. It was fun.
Right. Have you ever successfully debunked a haunting or other paranormal activity? Like when you walk in, you're not sensing anything, and you can tell, it's because of the wiring in this house. There's just a lot of EMF.
Oh yeah, I've debunked stuff myself in my own house. Oh my God, totally. Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, well, that's what paranormal investigators do. I mean, the first thing a paranormal investigator will do, and I have, so many paranormal investigator friends, it's their job to debunk. That's the first thing they do, is they try and debunk. Right. Their job is their first thing they will do is try and debunk it before they will actually try and prove that it actually is that thing. So they'll go and check and make sure that there's no breezes, there's no windows open, it's not the heating, it's not the piping, it's not, oh yeah, all the time. I mean, even in my own house, I mean, even when things now have settled down, I'll still be like, you'll hear, even the other day, like I went to come back in with my dog. I got my dog groomed. I went to come in my front door, and my front door sticks. You have to literally, it almost like you're at it for you to try and get it open now, because with the heat, it's expanded.
Right. And
I went to go open my front door, and it literally, as I went to put my hand towards it, it opened by itself. So I thought that my son had opened the door, and when I went to look, he wasn't there.
Oh, wow.
So the first thing I thought was, okay, who the hell just opened the front door? Because it just opened on me, like somebody opened the door and said, oh, here, you're back,
Yeah.
So, but then I immediately go to debunk it. Did I step on something? Did I step on something in a weird way? You know what I mean? Because I always debunk things, it's because in the beginning, I think, in the kitchen, the pantry door used to always open by itself. But we realized that if you walked by it, or if you stood in a certain part of the floor, it would open.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you have to kind of, or if it wasn't clicked down properly and you stood on a certain part of the floor, it would open by itself.
Right.
So yeah, you do try and debunk those kind of things, and you have to realize that, and then a certain part of the kitchen, the walls will bang, but then it's usually when the heat goes up.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do. I mean, it's just, there's different things, but of course, I go a lot by, I'm different. Not saying I'm different, but I go by both things, because I go by my sensitivities too as a psychic medium. So, if I get like the feeling, you know, the sensitivities, like if I feel something is wrong, and I get the combination of the actual physical thing happening and my senses are telling me something's wrong, then I'm usually pretty sure that that's what's going on. But like if I hear a sound and I don't get a feel, like it's just like a knock or a bang and I don't feel scared or I don't feel like it's anything going on, then I'll usually be like, because usually like my kids or someone will say to me like when, oh, I heard something bang or something fall. What was that? And then if I'll usually be like, what do you think, Mom? And I'll be like, no, I think it's fine. It wasn't anything. Because I always go by how I feel.
Yeah.
Trust me, I get that. The hairs go up in the back of my neck. I always know when it's something. I can't describe it. I just like know.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's a knock, that's a spiritual knock, or if it's just a knock and something fell over, or you know what I mean? It's I can tell the difference like instantly. Like for me, it's like I just get that, you know what I mean? It's like I know. Yeah.
That's
and so like, because my kids will say to me, Mom, they'll have me, Mom, I heard something in my room, like, can you come in? And then I'll be like, okay, so I'll go in. And they'll be like, what do you think? This just fell off my dresser, you know? And I like almost know immediately. I'll be like, no, I don't think it's anything. I think that the cat knocked it off. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or then I usually can tell if it's suspicious. Because I'll walk in and I'll get that vibe and I'll be like, yeah.
That's funny.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a vibe I get, you know, I know it's just my gift. I just know these things. I know, you know,
That's
it's the
good.
sense I get. Yeah. So
there was a point several months ago where I was up late in the kitchen editing my shows, and I started hearing noises coming from the cabinets, and I was starting to get worried. I was at the point where I was gonna, turn on my my digital recorder and just let that run all night. And then finally we figured out that it was a rodent issue, and we've since gotten rid of them. But I was glad that it wasn't anything beyond that. I was starting to really get worried, you know.
We come from the retro future. We want you to be nostalgic for what's to come. A new channel and distribution network for smart people with bad taste, featuring content from Church of the Subgenius, Creature Features, Cinema, Insomnia, Sleazy P. Martini and Guar, Troma, Corey Maccabee, horror, sci-fi, Saturday morning cartoons, midnight movies, and assorted trash we love. Add our channel OSI 74 to your Roku player or visit OSI74.com. All systems go.
Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital? Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show? Do you enjoy talking about the show with others? Do you find yourself yelling at the TV? Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles? If so, we invite you to join hosts Amanda Kimmel and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed. Meet us at Pier 54, a General Hospital fan podcast.
Shark Bites Podcast. It's the greatest show in history. From the Dorkening Network, hosted by a nerd who's named Patsy. From movie reviews to tips on surviving the coronavirus, Shark Bites has it all. Follow us on Facebook and suggest topics at sharkbitespod@gmail.com. Available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hi, I'm so sorry I got cut off.
That's fine. That was weird. Oh, man. So I don't know if you heard any of what I was saying.
I don't know what you said last. I can't remember.
Okay. A few months ago, I was working late in the kitchen editing my shows, and I started to hear noises coming from the cabinets, like a little banging and stuff. And I was at the point where, because this happened like 2 or 3 nights in a row, and I was at the point where I was going to leave out my digital recorder all night long. And come to find out, it was a rodent issue, and we since, resolved that.
Ghost rodents.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So,
well, like I said, you always got to check that. Check it first, like you said, debunk first and then.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
now, earlier in the show, you mentioned the triple digits, and I wanted to ask you about them because I have someone in my life who lost a person that was very close to them a couple of years ago, and they often see triple digits like 111, 222, etc. Specifically 444. They'll see them in.
Oh my God! I can't believe you said that.
Yeah, they'll see them in digital clocks, on license plates, when they make purchases, pretty much everywhere, to the point where I see them all the time now. And my understanding is that they're called angelic numbers. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, angel numbers. Yeah. I can't believe you said 444. That's so weird. I'll tell you why. Because 444, I've been seeing 444 for the last year nonstop. Me and my daughter, everywhere we go, we see 444, and we make a joke about it now because literally, I've never got a tattoo before. I've never had one, and so I keep saying, because I'm going to be 50 this year. So I keep saying, oh, I'm going to get a tattoo, when I turn 50 or before I turn 50. So I keep telling my daughter, that's it. I said, I'm going to get a tattoo of 444 on my arm or my wrist. Because I was like, the angels are like, definitely. I'm like, the 444. What is it with 444?
Right.
And I met where was it? There was a group of people recently I was talking to. And this older man said to me the same something about, oh, I hear you do readings. And I said, yeah. And he said, people say, Milton, can you just read me? And I'm like, I just don't randomly read people. You know what I mean? And I was like, I said, I usually shut off when I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, sorry, whatever. And he was like, he goes, I got to ask you a question. And I said, what? And he said, I keep seeing the number 444. And I was like, that is so weird. I said, I can't believe you said that. And you just said it to me, 444. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, I think I think my angels, I really believe my angels are trying to give me a sign. Oh my God. You will not believe what's on my phone right now. 333.
I just looked over at the digital clock on the stove. Yeah, 333.
Holy crap, I think we're all connected.
Yeah.
That's so bizarre but I can't believe you said 444 because now you see I'm a 100,000% believer that you were meant to say 444 to me.
Yeah.
Because that is just bizarre. So see, now I totally believe that. And I was obviously meant to tell you what 444. You know what 444 means?
I believe it means that a spirit of someone who's passed on is watching over you.
Well, it's more of that guidance and protection from your angels, and that you're being guided and protected, and that you really need to pay attention to that and know that and especially when you see that number. So whoever sees the number, I don't know, is are you the one seeing the number or somebody else seeing the number?
It's somebody else seeing the number, somebody very close to me, and they see it all the time. But I see it too.
Well, whoever sees it or whenever you're seeing that number, it's definitely it's a very family oriented number. It's a number that it's kind of like a spiritual awakening number. It's like to believe and have faith that you're being guided in the right direction. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's a big number for change in your life too. So it's kind of like you're being guided to accept the changes that are happening in your life and kind of have faith that you're going in the right direction. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So if there's a lot of change, I don't know if there's a lot of change in your life or the person that you care about, but if there's a lot of change, and sometimes change can be difficult.
Yes.
You know what I mean? When we talk about spiritual awakenings, you hear people talking about spiritual awakenings all the time, and they say, oh, I'm having a spiritual awakening, and it sounds so wonderful and beautiful, but it's actually one of the worst things you can go through. Because spiritual awakenings are really difficult and hard and torturous,
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, but when people have a spiritual awakening, they actually go through a really difficult time. It's kind of like shedding an old skin and going into a new one. So so that's just kind of like the 444 is kind of like starting fresh, and it might mean that difficult times and you might lose loved ones. You might be going through something difficult in your life, illness. I don't know, just stress, anxiety. I don't know, but it just means to hang in there and trust that you're going in the right direction, and that there will be light at the end of the tunnel, and it's, you're being guided, and it's kind of like every time you see that 444, it's like, hang in there. It's all will work out for the best.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
That it's amazing. It's amazing. I see different numbers. Like there'll be days where, like on license plates as I'm driving to and from work, I'll just see like 555s all day or 777s. It's weird, but I do see the 444 quite a bit.
And the more you believe and the more you actually accept it and believe it, the more you will see them. And that's what's fascinating. And it's kind of like, you know, you'll say it to people. And people, I never see that. But people like you and myself who accept it and are like, I get excited about it and see it as a positive thing, we'll see more and more and more of them.
Right.
Like when I'm out with my daughter, she gets so excited. She's like, Mom, 777, 555. And she'll count every car that she sees and she'll add them up. Like she'll say, today we saw 2555, 1333, 3444s. And she'll go home and she'll say like, oh my God, we saw all these angel numbers today. And she gets super excited about it.
That's awesome.
And it's great. And I love being with her because she gets so excited if we pull up behind a car that has an angel number on it. And I love that because I love her enthusiasm, how excited she is. But it's funny because, and I notice that nobody else, like other people won't see them or don't comment or notice them because they'll be like, where? I didn't see that. And I'll be like, well, you know.
You missed it.
You know, maybe if you got more excited about it, you might.
Right.
But it's great.
It's funny too because when I was a kid, I read a series of books called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and in that book, the number 42 is a huge part of the story, and it's one of those numbers that sort of followed me throughout the years. And when I turned 42, which was probably about a decade ago, for that whole year that I was 42, my kids and I would see the number 42 everywhere.
That's funny.
It was really weird, and to this day, I still consider it a lucky number for me. But
yeah, see, well, again, like I said, I think if you believe in signs, you get signs, you get more signs, and it's like I always believe that, like. And I believe, too, if you ask for signs, I mean, even with Loveland's crossover, if you ask them for a sign, they'll give you a sign. Like, if you ask them, like, I need help, I need guidance with this. Will I get this job? Should I apply for this job? Should I do that? Then when you ask for something, or even when you ask your angels, which you can, and I always tell people, our angels are there for a reason, and we have to ask them for guidance. If you ask a question, you have to look for the answer. And it could be, like, for example, say you're going... You know, GPS. Have you ever had your GPS bring you on a loop in the wrong direction?
Yes.
That happens for a reason. And I tell people that because I've been driving where my GPS has gone completely wonky, and it happens to me all the time because of, you know, my psychic energy, and also, you know, I believe everything happens for a reason, and it's brought me on a completely wrong direction. And I remember one day I was really stressed out about something, and I was like asking for an answer to some question. I can't remember. I was worried about something, probably one of my kids or something, I can't remember. And my GPS brought me down a back road, and I was like, oh my God, I was so pissed off. I was like, oh, I can't believe this, I'm gonna be late, blah blah blah. But it brought me down whatever back road, and then as I'm driving to get back on the main road, it's redirecting me. I go by this store, which I'd never been by before, and on the store, what did it say? It said angel something on the sign.
Wow.
So then I'm like, thank you, I get it now.
That's incredible.
But it was like an angel thrift shop or something, but the sign had angel on it, and I was like, and there was my answer. You know what I mean? But, or, you know, it'll bring you to something that will all of a sudden make you think of something else, and you're like, oh, now I get it, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting to think about the chain of events in one's life that gets you to where you are at the moment. Like, I'll give you an example. 6 years ago, my now wife, we were dating, and we were going to purchase a house, and that fell through. So we ended up renting a house, which we're still in right now. But if we hadn't rented this house, the dryer wouldn't have needed a special knob. So because it needed that knob, we went to a local mall in Rochester that had a Sears at the time. And I was able to get the knob, but when we were at the mall, we discovered that there was a movie theater there that had been shut down. So I inquired about that, and one thing led to another, and we ended up opening that theater for a while, and running it. And if we had purchased the house that we were looking at, that would have never happened. We would have never had any reason to go to that mall, and I would have never seen it, you know?
Isn't that crazy? All over one little knob.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. And then just you know, you could go through your life. I recommend that the people listening at home just go through the past few years and, you know, when things happened, you took a left instead of a right, and just how you ended up, like you said, with the GPS. The GPS ends up taking you to a place you weren't expecting to go, but it worked out great, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like people coming into your life for a reason, people crossing your path for a reason. Like, what is that saying? And I never think if it's saying it the right way. I always say it the wrong way. It's like people cross your path for a reason. It's either they say for a day, a week, a decade. It's a really cool saying, and I always get it wrong. But it's saying that, you know, people come into your life either to help you or you to help them, but you know, we all cross each other's paths for a reason. You know what I mean? And things happen for a reason, the good and the bad. I mean, it's like when I worked for Leahy Clinic for 10 years. I was a medical office manager. And when I had my son, I was supposed to go back to work full time. But then he was so tiny, and I was like, I couldn't leave him. So I asked him, could I go back part time? And I wanted to go back. And they had a position where I could have worked nights, you know, so my husband could work during the day, and I could have gone down and switched the baby over with him, and I could have worked nights.
Right.
But it was literally came down to a 2-hour window, and the boss at the time, the guy who was over making the decision, he was just one of those, you know whats.
Yeah.
And after me working there for 10 years, he wouldn't flinch. And I was like begging him to get so that I could work this out. I mean, I was like worked there for so long, put in all my years, and I basically was like, can we please work this out? I said, it's like 2 hours. I can come down this time and I'll be able to switch the baby over. And it was perfect situation, but he was just being a you know what. And basically his answer was, you can come back full time or you can quit. And I remember when I heard those words, I don't know what came over me, because I'm not one that makes rash decisions. And I just all of a sudden something made me say, that's it, then I'm going to quit. I've decided I was going to put my child first.
Yeah.
And then I spent the next 2 weeks crying, thinking, I have no job. What am I going to do? But it led to me staying at home and finding a job doing medical transcription, which in turn led to me doing readings, and then eventually leading and starting my own business, doing readings and events, and led to where I am now, making it my career. And if I hadn't quit, that never would have happened. So,
yeah.
So again, you're talking about, you know, my son is now 16, but if I hadn't done that at that time, never would have happened. You know, I would have stayed there. I'd probably still be there, you know? So, you know, so again, you know, these hard decisions in life and these crossroads we come across and we meet and we have to face, they seem like the worst thing in the world at the time, you know?
Yeah.
But sometimes they're for the best. When you look back on it afterwards, after the fact,
exactly.
You say, oh my gosh, yeah. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, you know, because if it hadn't happened, then I wouldn't be where I am today.
Right. Now, on a different note, I have a question. Have you ever worked with another psychic whose abilities just kind of blew you away? Like you were totally impressed?
I'm trying to think. I tend to work alone most of the time. I'm not saying I find it hard to work with other psychics. I don't. I have worked with other psychic mediums and done other events with them. I haven't really. No, I wouldn't say I have, because I generally work on my own, doing readings and doing events kind of on my own.
Right.
I never really worked with other psychic mediums. I've done events. I mean, I've worked where I've done circles with other psychic mediums and we've worked together and stuff, but not in the beginning. But I do prefer work by myself.
Yeah.
Because I think most psychic mediums do prefer to work by themselves. Sometimes I've done a couple of galleries where I've worked with another psychic medium, but you basically switch off. You don't kind of work, you know what I mean, together. Yeah. I'm trying to think though, who would I don't really follow anybody in particular. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just like to do my own thing because everybody works differently. I think people seem to be have the idea that all psychic mediums the same? Are we all, but we're so different.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm amazed, I think, I have to say I've learned so much from every psychic medium I've met. And I'm really blessed of me. I've worked with so many in the sense of met them and worked in the same areas as them. And I've definitely learned so much from meeting all the psychic mediums and seeing them work on their own and seeing them do their own events and stuff. I think everybody's so gifted. We all have different gifts and we all read in different ways and we all connect in different ways. And I've definitely say I've learned a lot from other psychic mediums. They're all amazing. They are. I mean, I have to say, but like I said, we all work differently. We all connect differently. It's definitely not something we definitely can't put us all in one box. That's for sure.
Right. Well, Colleen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I'm sure we could talk for hours and hours about this stuff, but we just
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Well, definitely. First of all, I want to let you know that you've got an open invitation to come back anytime, talk about all things paranormal, if there's any specific topics you want to discuss.
Thank you.
You were welcome. You're more than welcome to come on. You got a lot going on, so can you tell our listeners where they can find you online?
Yeah, basically, I'm updating my website. So my website isn't up right now. So I'm going to be making a new website. So because I have so much, I hadn't updated it in years. So I want to update it and put a whole new one up there. So that I don't have a website up right now. So basically, you can reach me on it's Colleen Costello the Celtic Medium is my Facebook page.
Okay.
So you can message me through that if anybody wants to get a reading or anything like that. You can always get me through my phone number. I always give my phone number out because that's the best way to reach me. It's 603-508-2475. And you can reach me through that if you want to book a private reading. I do readings. I am back doing readings. Mainly, I prefer right now to do readings online or via Zoom or phone.
Right.
I can do readings in person. We'll be doing readings in person soon once I get my office up and running again at my house.
Nice.
So I will be doing that again soon. I just, like I said, after COVID, obviously, with COVID, that all kind of went away for a while. And I hope to start doing, obviously I'll be doing events again, but obviously I also do home parties and events, and I'm starting that up again soon. I will be starting that up again. So if anyone wants to book something at their home or an event or something that they want to book, they can contact me as well and we can talk about it. So again, my phone number is great. You can text me, you can call me, whatever you feel like doing. I will always get back to you.
Excellent. And we'll have that stuff in the show notes. And that actually made me think of one last question I had for you is a psychic many years ago told me, as I was curious as to how a phone reading or an online reading would work. And the person told me basically it actually works very well simply because we're connected through the electricity and the wires. So me simply talking to you, you still have a clear path to, say, for example, give me a reading.
Yeah, it's all through energy. And it's the same thing like when I did my radio shows and I had so many people question. And it was interesting when I used to do my show in Manchester from the studio and people would call in from their cars and they'd be in traffic and they'd call in and they'd be like, how does this work? And how are you able to read me? I'm in my car and you're in a studio. And I would tell them stuff and they'd be blown away. I'd be like, okay, I'm connecting with your mother, your father, your grandmother. And I'd tell them stuff and they'd be like, the skeptics and and I'd be like, okay, and they'd be like, oh, we're believers now.
That's awesome.
So yeah, no, it does work. It definitely does. I know it's hard to believe, but it's all energy, and that's what it is. It's right. All it's psychic and mediumship work is all energy, and that's how it works. And that's basically all it is.
Exactly. And can you tell us again about the TV show you have coming up on the Travel Channel?
Yeah, it's called Haunted Hospitals. Like I said, it should be coming up on the Travel Channel. They haven't given me an exact date yet.
Okay.
They said it should be out in the fall. So like I said, I believe it's going to be, they said the Canadian network first, and then it's going to be in the US in the fall on the Travel Channel.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And are you planning on going to the Parafest in Maine in October this year?
Yes, I will be there. Yep, in October. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, we're going to have a booth there. I think this is the first time I'm announcing it.
Awesome. So I will definitely see you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to be back doing the Parafest and stuff. I've missed doing the events with COVID.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Excellent. Well, Colleen, thank you. It's been a treat having you on the show, and I look forward to speaking to you again and actually meeting you in person in October.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay. Thanks so much,
Excellent.
Roger.
Thank you.
Have a nice Memorial weekend.
You too. Well, we hope you got a nice glimpse into the vast world of the paranormal that exists right in our backyard. If you've got any stories that you'd like to share, whether they be ghost encounters, UFO encounters, or anything paranormal related, please either share them on our Facebook Then Is Now podcast group or email them to us at thenisnow42@gmail.com, and we'll read them on the air. Just let us know if you want us to use your name or not. And if you don't already know, we've started up a new monthly live streaming video show. Former guest Bill Van Ryn from Groovy Doom and the Drive-In Asylum Double Feature and I have teamed up to host a streaming video show called Fright Lounge, in which we discuss all horror media. If you're unsure if you want to get into horror or are a seasoned horror fan, this show is for you. You can check out the details at havenpodcasts.com, and the Fright Lounge link is on the right-hand side. Fright Lounge also has a Facebook page at facebook.com/Fright Lounge, which will keep you up to date on all our broadcasting dates and times. We will be live on Facebook and YouTube. Generally, it's once a month. We're going to try and do the first Sundays of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern. However, June and July, it's going to be the second Sundays because of our schedules and holiday and all that. And I just wanted to remind you that Patreon is a place where you can support artists. We've got some great stuff going on at our Patreon page, including our exclusive Filmmaker series, where we talk to writers, directors, producers, and basically anybody behind the scenes in film and television. So be sure to check out the Patreon link on our website and help support your favorite pop culture show. It's only $3, which is the same price as a cup of coffee. And when you sign up, you'll be entered into a monthly contest to win Sean Kanan's book, Way of the Cobra. For those who don't know, Sean was the villain Mike Barnes in Karate Kid 3, as well as AJ Quartermain on General Hospital, and tons of other roles. It's a great deal, so check it out. And while you're on our site, please click the TeePublic link to get some fun merch. We've got our new Classes in Session design up, so grab them now. We also want your feedback, as I mentioned before, especially your paranormal stories. So once again, please email us at thenisnow42@gmail.com. You can also join in the conversation at our Facebook Then Is Now podcast group. Then Is Now podcast is a proud member of the Dorkening Podcast Network, so please be sure to check out the other great shows there at thedorkeningpodcastnetwork.com. Also on our website, which is havenpodcasts.com, is our sister show, The East Meets the West, in which co-host Patsy the Angry Nerd and I discuss Shaw Brothers films and spaghetti western movies. And Then Is Now is on YouTube, so please visit youtube.com/user/UncleDeath1 to get the latest videos, as well as other fun videos. Please subscribe to our YouTube page and also share it with your friends and get them to subscribe as well. And don't forget to hit the little bell to get notifications of new videos. Also, please go wherever you download your podcast from, and if you could leave us a great review, 5 stars would be awesome. That would be great because then more listeners can find us. It'll bump us up in their algorithm, and it'll recommend our show to people who may not know about it. You can find us on all the podcasting apps, especially the big three, iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. Class dismissed.
Then Is Now podcast is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is copyright Jupiter Media.
For more shows like the one you just heard, check out the Dorkening Podcast Network at thedorkening.com.